At a juncture when society is concentrating much on climate management and concentration is heavy by the governments in general and the social circles on climate management. The next generation of leaders for this climate is chief finance officers. How? I will explain. If your chief financial officer is the last person you would think of to take change on climate change, think again. Today, smart organizations are shifting their sustainability responsibilities toward the finance function. There are several reasons for this change. First is the basic maths, which falls largely within CFO's purview. Mitigating and adapting to climate change will require close to investment of terrible money, trillions together in the world as a whole, and is also expected to put the risk by investing heavily for the sustainability of the climate management. The planetary warnings given by various scientific institutions drive the smarter organizations to take a decision in this context. Cutting greenhouse gas emissions leads to cost savings. If you cut emissions, you cut energy, which is massive organizational cost, something CFO pay close attention to. Thirdly, because investors are pushing to make climate safe investments, they want climate risks to be integrated within corporate financial disclosures. Finally, the business opportunities for climate change solutions are blooming according to Chartered Professional Accountants of Canada. As creators, enablers, preserves, and reporters of sustainable value, accountants can make their organizations adapting the efforts more effective. Taken together, these shifts are leading finance teams to include what were formerly called non financial responsibilities. Today, they are turned to become financial man's responsibility because of the long term investment pattern and planning of the investments. CFO's leadership on the climate change is starting to pay off. For example, several companies like Adnams of British Brewery recently saw an increase in the base cost of their production of beer. Hot summers were affecting barley production. To solve the problem, the CFO was able to offset these higher costs by looking at energy and water savings. The CFO, naturally with an inclination and instinct towards the financials and costs which are being incurred by the organization in various aspects, this aspect is occupying his brain mainly. About his company, the CFO, sustainability plan allowed to capitalize on cost savings within years. Though the research shows that corporate experience at several places have determined four key ways in which sustainability is being centralized in the finance function. When it is clearly integrated with the finance function and CFO is made responsible, there are several positive results which have been cropped up and reaped by several smarter organizations. Sustainability is being centralized in the finance function, ways every corporate leader should be aware of. Financial tools are becoming more green. Increasingly, we have seen finance teams greening more of their tools. What does this look like? Companies such as SSC or the Coca Cola, Hellenic Bottling Company, for example, have implemented green capex, lot of capital expenditure systems. These structures, which involve small changes in investment decisions like investing really both in shares, short-term plan and long-term plan. Even more significant, Microsoft now has an internal carbon market co-designed by the finance and sustainability teams. Thanks to a carbon free paid by subsidiaries based on the level of their emissions, incentivizing them to cut their emissions. This has become a significant function of the finance man, specifically chief finance officers, and the global pattern it has become to be made. Starting from 2020, the specific concentration has been here in this angle. In fact, more than 600 organizations say they now use carbon pricing. Finally, allowing the integration of climate change within management control systems. I repeat this very important word. Following the integration of climate change within management control systems, corporations have started to measure GHG emissions like they measure their financials. Oracle has used what it calls environmental accounting and reporting. This is a wonderful vista which has been now enriched by the finance managers, environmental accounting and reporting, to capture and transform the organizational emphasis on the specific field which CFOs are becoming more and more next generation and future leaders of this climate management. Finance teams, collaborations and roles are evolving. Changes in finance and accounting departments are increasingly visible within not only the tools but also the teams. A wind power company based in Denmark has a full-time environmental, social and governance ESG accounting team made up of 4 employees. Several UK-based energy providers are implementing the same scheme for sustainability, which is in charge of developing understanding of sustainability in finance. The company's specific examples, a number of that. The CFO Leadership Network created accounting for sustainability in several countries by smarter organizations. Recently developed Canadian firms also has done it. Rules and regulations are changing rapidly by the international society regarding this. The CFO will also need to adapt so shifting financial accounting rules that address climate change, related risks and opportunities. The biggest changes stem from this last one decade, several years, when the financial stability is an international body, monitors and makes recommendations about global financial system in this aspect. The new recommendations were released in several years back suggesting that climate related financial accounting has to be done in every organization to save more costs and due concentration by the chief finance officer, specifically that is the finance wing. What does this mean in practice? For one, all disclosures, including climate related risks, climate metrics and targets, should be reviewed by a company's CFO, audit committee, or both companies also should face the future risks of their business model through scenario analysis. The financial scenario analysis must be always attached to Chief Finance Officer, whose mission is to develop accounting standards for financial markets around the world. The reports indicated that it has given recommended that companies address material environmental and social issues and more specifically issues driven by investors' pressure to disclose climate related risks and plans taken by the company, and it should exhibit and it should show in the market in order to attract more finances by showing their climate change plan and accounting standards or briefing. The financial markets increasingly require a focus on climate. The financial markets are driving CFOs to look seriously at climate change. An investor's initiative climate action shall be there for every an organization. So systematically important thing has to be done is CFO's preparation of a both short-term plan and long-term plan in order to indicate the investors that what that company is doing. Another reason for CFOs to take climate seriously comes from investors' appetite for green bonds. This is what is playing a bigger role in the present international finance system. That investors' appetite for green bonds, bonds that enable capital rising and investment for new and existing projects with environmental benefits. New issuances on the green bond market reached a very top level in the international financial status. Within the market, verified. When Peter Baca from the World Business Council for Sustainable Development said long back in 2012 that accountants would save the planet. A great slogan given by Baca is accountants would save the planet. He was not far from the truth. Today, accountants are increasingly prioritizing climate change inside their organizations and beyond. Your CFO should be the next leader to follow in this specific field in order to maintain the sustainability and in order to project the institution's plan, the organization's plan, the current market trend and attract the investors to his organization and finally to lead the organization to a success. Definitely this is becoming more and more a CFO's priority. So once again we can say it is the accountants would save the planet. A good slogan which every new manager has to keep in his brain and take part in the as a financial function in order to achieve higher results in the organizations. Thank you very much.